All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is a new. I pray everybody is doing well and can hear me well. Let me open up this by doing this. All right, now, if y'all like the broadcast, you don't know what I'm ready to do. Like, subscribe, share. If you're just joining us on this channel, welcome. And if you're back again and again, you don't know it already. Shout out to all the new subscribers. You're going to get a little bit of everything because, hey, that's how we get down. Now, I saw this. What's going on, Judah? I saw this come across the news feed, and as someone who's a mother and know people who are mothers, and fathers, I found this interesting and worthy of being covered because a lot of people are talking about relationships and children and families, but this is something that's directly affecting parents and grandparents and guardians of children who are infants, right? So if you've heard about the baby formula shortage, I've seen it in passing, but for some reason today I said, let me stop and see what all the hubbub is about. Okay, so I'm gonna read a few articles because there's always a spin for me, but let me see a few of these articles. Right, one of them is coming from what last week, the 12th of May, on NBC News, right? So all of the major news networks are hollering right now, right? Baby formula shortage has anxious parents stocking shelves nationwide. I'm gonna try to hold my commentary. And if you hear the background noise too much, let me know. But I'm gonna try to hold my commentary, okay? With store shelves empty and online retailers out of stock, some parents are considering measures that wouldn't normally take to feed their infants. Okay. Jessica Ibarra was standing in a Target, staring at bare shelves that should have been lined with baby formula. It was Tuesday, 6 days after she had given birth to her daughter. Neither she nor her husband had any luck finding formula during trips to multiple grocery stores near their home in Arlington. Another mother holding her newborn walked through the formula aisle. She looked at the empty shelves, then looked at Ibarra. I can't find my baby's formula anywhere, the mother told Ibarra. I can't either, replied Ibarra, who cannot breastfeed because she has epilepsy and takes anti-seizure medication that could pose a risk to her infant. Both women started to cry. Pause. I said I was going to read all the way through, but let's pause because this is going long and fluffy. If these are brand new, brand spanking new babies, newborns, and they have birth, they give birth, you have something called a lactation consultant. Why is the less than 1 week old brand new mother at Target, first of all, right, looking for baby formula? Usually, when you leave the hospital, they're gifting baby formula. Secondly, if you knew you couldn't breastfeed, right, the other mother who's frantically looking, what happened? She have a problem too. If you knew you couldn't breastfeed, the lactation consultant would have gotten you in touch with breast banks and things of that nature that you can, if breastfeeding was an option that you wanted to explore. But I know that they're letting you go from the hospital with formula. So I find this interesting that the mother who's less than 7 weeks a mother, I mean 7 days a mother, is already in Target frantic for this brand new baby. I don't know if I'm buying this, but we'll continue. They took a picture because it's supposed to convince us. And she's young. Who can't breastfeed? Uh, Ibarra couldn't breastfeed. That would have been a conversation before she got to actually deliver, but I'll continue. A shortage of formula that began in the early days of the pandemic has worsened significantly in recent weeks because of labor shortages and a major product recall, creating panic and anxiety among parents across the country. When they convinced the parents to, especially the mother, to stop feeding her child the natural formula that comes from the breast, these brand new babies, her milk supply, providing all goes well, would come in. Pumping is a thing. Freezing breast milk is a thing. Breast milk banks is a thing. Lactation consultants is a thing. Alternative baby formula is a thing. But let's read what the major networks are saying. Yeah, with the nationwide out of stock percent at 43 sorry percentage at 43% for the week ending May 8th, according to the retail analysis firm Database Assembly, many families are struggling to find formula in stores and online. First of all, do you know how expensive this formula is? It's a formula, okay, that is put together. If we go and look, and we're going to go look at some of what's in this formula. I have my own, as you could tell, I'm not coming as 100% objective on this news story. I'm coming straight up. I cannot be, because I've been through this space and I understand what's going on. Okay, the delays could last 8 to 10 weeks. Abbott Nutrition, the company behind the recall, announced Wednesday. So what happened? Abbott is the only one we I could get formula from. Many parents have become consumed with finding formula, prompting some to consider taking measures they wouldn't normally take just so they could feed their child. Like what? What are some of the measures? Like giving the child a breast? What are some of the measures like natural remedies? Like, I'm trying to figure what are some of these off the wall measures that they are deciding to go to. Because what happened is that they moved all the natural remedies and made formula be the people be dependent upon formula. Now reverting back to nature sounds weird, right? Many parents, let me see if I could be heard, because I feel like I'm yelling. I'm outside. Let me know if I'm yelling, Judah. Am I yelling, or can you hear the background noise? Y'all know me in the outside. I might have to go inside, but let me know if it sounds like I'm yelling. It may be just me because I have the headphones in my ear, but let me know. I'll keep reading. Where are we here? I can't with these stories, man. Um, on social, bruh, you just had the baby. Give the baby the breast. Mommy eats, baby eats. It's a 2-for-1. Anywho, on social media, recipes are circulating for homemade baby formula, something the American Academy of Pediatrics strongly advise against. Calling it unsafe, you mean like the recall on the formula that you guys advise? How is it unsafe when people for millennia stayed alive by making sure that their baby has something to eat? I'm trying to figure out what y'all trying to have the babies do. Fast? The Academy also cautions against diluting formula to make it last longer, which will not meet infants' nutritional needs. Neither will no formula. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where we're going with this, though. If you don't have formula for the next 8 to 10 weeks, right? And these people are lacking, and you're telling them not to resort to natural measures, what exactly are they supposed to be feeding this child? In Washington, Jason Resendez and his husband, nobody here can lactate. Okay, Brian Pierce have not done anything risky like watering down. How do they have 3 months baby? They still have felt uneasy instead of feeding the 3-month-old brand of the day when we first adopted. Whatever is in stock, and it's hard to find brand that's consistently available. Nobody in this picture can lactate. It feels like we're playing Russian roulette with our baby formula, which as new parents isn't a good feeling because we don't know what he's allergic to. But Resendez said, continuously trying new formulas is really scary. In Evans, Georgia, William Zachary and his wife have spent hours driving around in search of formula for their 6-month-old twins, which they use to supplement breast milk. This week, Zachary planned the most efficient route he could think of for a search for his lunch break, which involved stopping at Walmart, Kroger, Publix, and other stores. He came up empty-handed. This sounds like a high dependency on all things pre-made. What's going on? This is an excessive. If you're going to search hours and somebody's convincing you not even to rely on your natural resources to feed your child, and the only thing that is safe to feed your child is something that somebody made in a lab, something is not right. Let's press this little button here. Let me know. Wait, let me finish reading this here. Hold on 1 second. I'm not yelling. Cool. Since shortages started ramping up after Abbott Nutrition voluntarily recalled in February, Zachary twins had 6 different formulas, whatever the family could get their hands on. some even more suited to the twins than others. Our oldest is lactose intolerant. We think one of the twins is too. When he doesn't have sensitive versions, he ends up being fussier. And these twins are little lady. Where? Okay, maybe. And they. Okay, let me continue. It ends up being a bit of an issue, but I'd rather them be fed. Mom, what? Where's your breast, Mom? Most babies consume formula. You hear this? While 84.1% of babies are breastfed at some point in their lives, according to the Center for Disease Control, 46.9% of babies are exclusively breastfed at 3 months and just 25 at 6 months. As the formula shortage has become more acute, some in online forums have shamed those who use formula, suggesting they should simply breastfeed instead. Listen to the verbiage. Listen to the verbiage. Listen to the verbiage. There is something to be said about wholly depending on feeding your child with something that's without outside of your reach. Nature has caused mammals, all mammals, to lactate, right? But because we have confusion around what breasts are for, confusion around what lactating is for, confusion around what women are designed for by nature, right? Which is the creator who designed women to give sustenance. The mother is there and cannot give sustenance. And the father has to burn his $5 a gallon gas around to find man-made formula to feed your baby. Something is wrong. And y'all can tell I'm passionate about this topic, okay? Because something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. There people can have reasons why, but for some people, the reasons they give to not feed the baby, even if you have to go back to work. I've known many people, hey, I gotta go back to work. I'm committed to this thing. They pump, they freeze it, they make sure the baby has food. 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, milk is still coming. A year and a half, milk is still coming there. But if you're not committed to it, 3 months, the reason why it drops so quickly, after 3 months, some people take the child off the breast and then the milk supply dries up. But if the child is 6, 9 months old, there are other things that you can feed the child. Now you begin to boil, to feed the child things that their body can to digest, soft things like pears, pumpkin, mashed out things, mashed out banana, mashed out avocados. You can start to feed the child. You can make oat milk. There's all kind of things that you can do so that the child will be hungry. With all of this food around, how is a child going to be hungry if there's no formula in the store? Again, if the child is brand new, talk to your lactation consultant to see whether or not you can get access to milk, which, by the way, is what nature designed and is actually the better option. Let's listen to this now. We don't have that option, Resendez said. Look, it's funny because I read better option, and then Resendez is like, he's talking to me, right? We don't have that option. It definitely underscores how disconnected some people are from the realities of caregiving and parenting, and how that conception is so stereotypical that if you're caring for a child, you must be a father and mother providing that care, when in reality, there are thousands of LGBT couples who provide care. How did we get here? How did we get here? Ibarra knows her anti-seizure medication is transmitted through her breast milk, but in recent days she started pumping and freezing breast milk in case she cannot find any formula for her daughter Aria, and has no other choice. She hopes not to get to that point and has enlisted friends and family in other areas to look for formulas so that she can build a stockpile. I'm trying to take care of my daughter and spend time bonding with her, and it's so tough because it feels like this is the cloud hanging over. You see how they picked this extreme situation, a lady with anti-seizure medication? That's extreme. They also picked an extreme situation where both of the parties who are caring for the child are not lactating. So they picked these extreme situations to show you, oh look, this is why. No, the vast majority of the people caring for the child, they have the capacity to produce. Maybe they have opted out, and therefore this now has become an issue. Somebody goes on to say, it's heartbreaking. It makes you feel like a failure as a parent, like you're failing your children because you can't even feed them. It makes you feel helpless. I mean, I've said, listen, let me press this thing right here. This thing is stressing me right here. Let me know if you guys can hear this video. Let me know. Can you hear that? I'm playing. Let me see if I share my screen. Queen T, what's going on? Thumbs up the video, like the video, These are some of the things. I mean, the relationship issues, yeah, but some of the things that really get me is what what people are doing to the next generation, right? How they're introducing things onto the next generation. And let me see here. Uh, this is the stuff that really burns my biscuits, man. Because it's a lot of it is hype. A lot of it is extra. Let me know if you guys heard that. I'm gonna try to play it again. It's a video. Let me play it again. Can that be heard before I go through the whole video and you can't hear? This is so, oh man. And then I'm going to read this little quick CNN article. You didn't hear. Let me try again. Let me see. How can I? Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to have to play it from my cell phone. Hold on. So let me pull it up on. Let me pull it up on the other side. Now, how disconnected are we from reality, from humanity, that the very well-being of a child, which is built into the system, is built into the reproductive system for this child to be fed, and we have divorced the nourishment and the sustenance from the child, of the child, from the actual source that produces said child, and then wholly gives it into the hands of an organization, a corporation that has profit at the end of it, and then find yourself in a precarious position because this corporation cannot provide your child. That's what you have been equipped to do it. If you're in alignment with nature, you know what, something is awry. Something is crazy, man. And I've heard some of the reasons why people do not want to, women, not people, do not want to breastfeed their children. One of which is, I don't want my breast to be saggy. And I'm like, what, you know what, let me just play this video real quick. Hold on. Tell me if you can hear the video now.
The FDA struck an agreement with Abbott Nutrition on next steps to reopen the formula factory in Sturgis, Michigan. Abbott CEO saying, "We know millions of parents and caregivers depend on us, and we're deeply sorry that our voluntary recall worsened the nationwide formula shortage." If the FDA and a federal court give Abbott the green light, it would take 2 weeks to reopen and another 6 to 8 weeks to get that formula on shelves. The plant has been shuttered since February over bacteria possibly linked to infant illnesses. Abbott says there's no conclusive evidence linking that formula to those sicknesses.
We're taking a number of measures, including getting all the manufacturers to step up, getting the Sturgis plant up and going.
The months-long shortage is hitting low-income families disproportionately hard.
We definitely go home, with a little hole in our heart.
After the White House proposed loosening restrictions last week, many parents who rely on government assistance from the Women, Infants, and Children program, known as WIC, are still unable to track down formula.
How frustrating is it when you issue a benefit to go get formula and there's no formula on the shelf? It's really ever, I think, we always issue the formula thinking, I really hope this participant can find some formula. That's the biggest strain on our staff.
By one estimate, up to 68% of all infant formula sold in the...
What in the world is going on, people? What is really going on? What is really going on? Are we assessing how old these children are? At what age you can begin to introduce semi-solid foods? Alternatives. You have the news out here telling them don't look for natural ways to feed your child. Huh? What in you know what? Judah said my 16-year-old asked me if I was sad because my breasts are not the same as before I breastfed my children. I told her not at all. She said that some of her classmates said that they will not. Exactly. There's some people who have thought and have gave people the idea that breasts are just for show. We have deviated from the path. It says the narrow path. We have jumped off the narrow path and it's in the broad ravine. Okay, people don't want this because the men. It's interesting. I was gonna come on here and talk about 90 Day Fiance, but this part within the 90 Day Fiance, I think is poignant, right? So there's one couple. The guy, she met him in China. I forget his name. Oh gosh. See, anytime in the 90 Day Fiance fans, y'all don't come for me. But she met him in China and Coben. She met him in China and she got impregnated by him. And he's from Cameroon, Africa, and now he's coming to America. So he gets the 90-day visa and he's in America. The son is about 18 months, thereabout. But the mother is still breastfeeding, so shout out to her. When he comes, he tries to sabotage the situation because he's telling her, oh, in my country, women don't breastfeed so long. And in my country, they breastfeed about 3 to 6 months. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I've been to the continent, right? He was upset that she was whipping. I haven't been to Cameroon, but the things I saw in Ethiopia, I was like, what in the world? So he saw her whipping out her breast to pump. And he's like, oh, that's indecent. You shouldn't do that. And he's making this whole issue and this whole deal around the fact that his son, who he couldn't wait to have seen and who he finally sees, is on the breast. Later on, it comes out that now that he's here, this grown man who likes breasts, he doesn't want to have to share. So not looking at the breast as something that is sustenance for the child, this man is starting and picking a fight with the fiance so that she can feel guilty enough to take the child off the breast so that he doesn't have to be in competition with the breast. I said, ain't this? So because oftentimes men, and that's where it's coming from, have taken the woman's breast to be solely something that they want to, it's not, the utility is not there anymore, right? Because he's not directly benefiting. I'm not saying all, but a lot of, and it was illustrated in this part of the show yesterday that I watched, is that now the utility is no longer there. The utility becomes about vanity. They like the way it looks, the perkiness, the way it feels. But what it was designed for, to give nourishment, right, to that child, he is willing to put a wedge between that bond. And not only just nourishment, it gives a secure attachment with that child and that mother until that child no longer desires that, and that child feels situated, okay, in their environment, and they're able to come off the breast, right? So that is also an issue that, oh, it's going to sag and it's not going to be perky and it's not going to look the same, and all of these other things that people come up with, women and men, that now using the breast sounds foreign. First they started it here and then it spread abroad. And now you even have this debate about where should you breastfeed your child? Should you go into the bathroom stall? Can you do it in public? Like, I used to breastfeed. I used to walk around with a covering. But if my child was hungry, they're going to have to eat. You know what I'm saying? And I walk around with a covering, but they're going to eat. Think about eating under a hot blanket, right? So even the culture and the way it's set up, because oftentimes people are fetishizing a part of the human anatomy, the woman's anatomy that was made to nourish. They're fetishizing it. Now she can't do what she needs to do for the children. And I think that part of what we're experiencing with this shortage goes to the mentality of, oh, it's more sanitary. Let me know if y'all could be heard. It's more sanitary for the child to drink this sterilized formula than it is to drink the mother's breast. I'm like, the milk from the mother's breast. This stuff right here is crazy. But let me see the thing that I saw, PNN. CNN propaganda news network say. Hold on. Here, homemade. They're like, we might be losing them. If they can't get the formula, we might lose them. So they're like, we got to write an article on homemade formula can be dangerous. Well, bruh, according to what y'all telling us, the formula you was giving people could be dangerous. Everything could be dangerous. Homemade infant formula can be dangerous. Experts share how to feed your baby through the shortage. Experts. Misinformation about how families get through the infant shortage is fueling concern among pediatricians. Like Tanya Altman, the California doctor who has been getting phone calls, emails, and social media messages, not just from her patients, but from families all over the United States, along with photos of empty shelves that once held infant formula. Parents say they've been to dozens of stores and looked on hundreds of websites and can't find their baby's infant formula. And they want to know what to do, whether some of the so-called alternatives they hear are legit. It's scary for these moms and these babies, and it's becoming a real issue. Supply chain issues and product recalls have sparked the nation's shortage of infant formulas. As early April, 7 states reported that 40 and 50% of baby formula products were out of stock. Manufacturers have said they are producing at full capacity to make as much as they can, but this week, 43% of baby formulas were out of stock, according to the new report. So there's a shortage, but I don't want you to do anything about it, and I don't want you to water it down. And I don't know, your breast milk might be dried up. So I don't know, what are they supposed to do? Abbott Nutrition, the company involved in the recent recall to safely resume production, blah, blah, blah. We read that part already. Let's jump down to the thing. It says the pediatrician said there are ways to get through the shortage for many people, and it is important to work with your pediatrician to address your infant's particular needs. So mother don't know best no more. Is the doctor have to tell you how now you're supposed to feed your child? Here are answers to some of your questions. What's safe and what is not? Can I make baby formula at home? No. There's a lot of discussion about making your own formula at home and things of that sort, and I really want to discourage that as much as possible. Formulas are complex. And research spent years developing the right ratio to give the babies nutrients they need. Well, they're not getting the nutrients if the parents can't find the food. So what suggest ye? Infant formulas must be dense with protein, fat, vitamins, and minerals, many of which cannot buy at the grocery store. And the balance must be precise for baby's health and development. You can see how it would be really hard to duplicate that in your kitchen. So don't trust yourself. For those with the children 6, 9, 12 months, don't mash up. The child has to have this formula, else there's no nutrition in the food. Is that what you're saying to me? There's no nutrition in the food? Homemade formulas can result in the baby not getting right nutrients, so they're fear-mongering, or having the ratio of their electrolytes disrupted. Formula does that, by the way. Formula constipates children. It hurts their stomach. It does all of the things that she's saying formula is not supposed to do. Formula does. It causes projectile vomit. It causes irritation within the child's stomach because of some of the unnatural things that's in the formula. And we're going to read some of those things. Hold on. For those who are interested, thank you for joining us. Yeah. So they said, don't make your own. Okay. Can I stretch out the baby formula? No. Adding in other food sources or adding more water to formula is tempting, as you can get close to the end of your last container of formula. But pediatrician says it's not a good idea. Families can start introducing solids into an infant's diet when the baby is around 4 to 6 months old, but these foods are not as nutritious substitute for formula at that age. Even when you start solids, breast milk or infant formula is still the major source of nutrition for your baby. So they're telling you don't add extra things. Can I use toddler formula or cow's milk instead? Maybe. So wait a minute. Get a pitney cold milk. Don't get a pitney nothing natural. But the cow milk might work for you, although the child is not a cow. But they said maybe. It really depends on how old your baby is and what your pediatrician says. For the first 6 months at least, formula specified for infants is really important. Altman said, but the closer they are to a year, they may be more flexible. They went on to say that they discourage the use of cow milk until a year of age, but it's recently true that as the baby is close to a year of age, especially if it's simply no formula to be found, that you can use either that or toddler formula. What's toddler formula? I don't know. Can I buy international formula? Maybe. Can I switch formula brands? Yes. So the answer is to go to another formula. Can I restart my best milk supply? Hear them. It's complicated. Stay away from all that natural stuff, okay? Okay, you've switched to another formula. Can I restart my milk supply? It's complicated. There have been instances where parents can induce lactation for the first time or restart lactation after choosing not to breastfeed. The process is complicated, however, and likely requires the help of a lactation specialist. That's what I've been saying. There's also milk banks. So check out a lactation specialist. If somebody's going through this, you can restart your formula supply. Your milk supply. There are many other things that could be done, but let's look a little bit of what's in this formula. Yep, some of the formula has metals, all kind of stuff in them. So let's look at what they're saying is the natural thing or the healthier alternative. Let's look at some of the ingredients in some of this formula here. What the baby is specially formulated in the lab. Ingredients in baby formula. This is hilarious, man. It's not funny, but it's funny. This is unreal. Okay. Okay, let's look at some of the ingredients in the baby formula that's specially formulated. You can't make it at home, although there's many children walking around just fine. Wait, hold on. Now what's the name of this other what's the name of that formula? Abbott, the one that is causing the shortage. Never mind, your formula is making children sick. So they say. How's everybody doing today? Where's the ingredient list? Hold on, you guys. Ingredient list. This is something else. If you can, give your child what it was designed to digest. The best formula is the one that comes from a breast. This is even when you see in the Bible, Moshe, mother, according to the narrative, they had to go get the wet nurse, which in antiquity, that's who comes in if the mother is not lactating, if the mother is able to produce milk and things of that nature. The wet nurse comes in and makes sure that the child, this is what would be equivalent to the milk bank at this day and time. Let's read what's up lurking. Somebody said, what's lurking in the baby formula? Let's see what's lurking in the baby formula. That they said, you better not try this at home. You ready? You ready for what's lurking in the baby formula? 42.6% corn syrup solids. Almost half, more than a third of the formula is corn syrup solids. 14.7% soy protein isolate. 14.7% soy protein isolate. So far you got sugar and soy protein. This is the Abbott Laboratories, one of the ones that got cut down. This is what the parents are driving from here to Yo-Yo Yanda to go and find. The next thing that's in here, 11.5% safflower oil. So off the bat, all of these fine, refined combinations that they're giving your child is corn syrup, soy protein, and oil, fam. And then if you didn't get enough sugar before, it's 10.1% sugar. Sucrose. So you got corn syrup, which is another damaging type of sugar, and then you come and get sucrose. And my bad, if you didn't have enough oil, they come back and put 8.4% oil. So let's rack up. Wait, my bad. And then 7.8% coconut oil. So let's see here. We have what's this? 11.5%. Does somebody have a calculator? I got a calculator. Where's my phone at? Where's my phone at? This is the kind of stuff right here. I just be drinking my water and minding my business. Okay. Let's see here. We have, let's look at the oil alone. We have 11.5% safflower oil. And then we have 7.8% soy oil. And then we have 2.4% coconut oil. 7.8% soy oil. My thing wasn't adding, so I gotta do it again. And 11.5%. So it's 21.7% oil, 42.6% corn syrup solids. This is the syrup. This is the one that people are running down because they can't find. I didn't know your baby needed that much oil, fam. I thought baby oil was for the baby's skin. Why does your baby need 21.7% oil? So a combination of safflower, soy, and coconut. 14.7% soy protein isolate. And let's look up corn syrup solids, shall we? Let's look that up. And then from there, it's less than 2% of the quote-unquote nutrients that your baby needs. What is this? Sodium selenate, potassium iodine, riboflavin, all of these other things, and some of the other things that they don't. Potassium chloride. I didn't know your baby needed potassium chloride. I didn't know the baby needed ascorbic acid and potassium citrate. These don't sound like vitamins to me. Anywho, let's look up corn syrup solids real quick. Let's look up, and there's some people, as we see, who feel as though I can't do without it. I mean, what are they going to do? You're going to find a healthy alternative. That's what you're going to do. You're going to use the brain that you've been given to make sure that you make the best decisions for your child. Corn syrup solids. Maybe they're telling you not, you know, corn syrup, the clear stuff that's highly processed. It's derived from liquid corn syrup, a glucose-based sweetener. To manufacture corn syrup solids, the corn syrup product is dehydrated until only a small percentage of water remains. Is it actual sugar? Sugar. So this thing is 42% sugar plus another 10%. So 50% of what you're giving your babies is straight up sugar, and they wonder why the babies look swole. If you ever look at a formula-fed baby, sometimes the baby looks fluffy, like they're retaining water. At 50% sugar, that's introducing the child to early diabetes. Does corn syrup solids raise blood pressure? It says corn syrup contains only glucose, which means that it may enter the blood faster and can raise blood sugar levels more quickly. High fructose corn syrup is a mixture of separated glucose and fructose, which can lead to a faster increase in blood sugar. This thing is almost 50% sugar. Actually, it is 50% sugar. But yet it's what's in, that's who they're looking to hurry up so that they can get back to formulating all the madness. Let me look at something else here. Let me look at something else. What is going on in the world today? Let's look at another infant formula. This one is, who is this? Let me see, which one is this? They make it so small, eh? My point being, then you have to go through which ones are the better ones to use. But the one I just read is the from the company that's making the most noise. It's sugar, it's oil, and a little bit of nutrients. So making your baby some porridge, making your baby some oat milk, and making sure it's processed That's as you cook out all of the impurities and making your baby something, and that would seemingly be a better option than to give your child some. What are you making? Donuts with all that oil and all that sugar? What do you intend to make with that? Donuts? Because that's a lot of oil and sugar. I'm just saying, for that small system to process. For the most part, let's see what's in this one. Sugar, partially hydrogenated vegetable shortening, cotton oil, soybean oil, water, high fructose corn syrup, modified wheat starch, monoglide and diglycerides, ascorbic acid, natural and artificial flavors, potassium sorbate. This isn't formula though. No, what's this? This can't be formula. I refuse to believe it. Let me make sure that I'm not reading the wrong thing. Let's look at what's one favorite, and then I'm done this video because I think my beans should be done. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Similac ingredient list. I'm outside, y'all. Even though it's hot, I kind of like the natural, what you call it. Let's see what's in the Similac. Same thing, 42.6% corn syrup solid, 14.7 soy protein, 11.5. I think we may have read the Similac label before. That's what's in it. Corn maltodextrin, which is still corn sugar. Casein hydrosylate, which is from milk. 18% sugar once again, so 35 plus 18 gives you another set of sugar. High sugar content. High sugar content, okay? 35. If you were started measuring out this stuff to make a baby formula, somebody would say you were crazy. This is almost 50%, over 50%, 53% sugar already is in this baby formula. And this is Similac Alimentum, okay? So yeah, educate yourself. If you're in that position or you know somebody in their position, just advise them, support them, educate yourself, because a lot of scare tactics are coming from the people around us. Similac sensitive formula, corn syrup solids, milk protein isolate, more oil again, coconut oil, soy oil, all of these oils, you know, support those around you. Educate yourself, because there's a lot of terror tactics and scare tactics using to force people into boxes, right? And so remember that we have the ability, the innate nature, the ability to feed and sustain our children and our household by doing the right things. That's oftentimes, you know, the feminine steps out of her role as the support system, as the nourisher, as the one who is supposed to do the things that the household can stand strong. And when she steps away and she forgets that knowledge or blocks it out, then we have panic. Back in the day, if something pops off, you know, you have this elder feminine principle who is like, calm down, I know what to do. Right? Where are the people who will tell you, you know what, relax, calm down, we got this, I know what to do? With that knowledge and that experience that's supposed to be passed on from one generation to the next, what happened is we become disconnected from that. That's archaic, that's old school, that's blah, 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 blah. And our money can't necessarily fix everything, because wisdom and knowledge is what we need to apply so that we can make better choices in our life. Judith says, and we wonder why the children are messed up in the head at young ages. Yeah. Go to the Yummy Cards. Let me run this commercial real quick. Shout out to Queen T, always reminding me to stay on point. You know, and this is why, one of the reasons why Yummy Cards is just an extension of the life I live with my children, who, you know, when they were much younger, it's my number one priority to make sure, to the best of my ability, I give them everything that they need. So I'm not talking to somebody who's just blowing hot air. Most of them are breastfed up until the longest went to 2 years, which is wild. Okay, 18 months, 2 years, and they'll let you know, like, okay, I'm done here. And they get all their nutrients and they get everything they need, and you introduce one food at a time, not overloading, one food at a time. Mashed banana, avocados, which the prices are off the chain these days. You know, things that they can easily digest, and then you move from there. Because if you don't, For parents who just like, oh, they don't like this, take the time to see whether or not they're allergic, give them a little bit. They'll tell you based on, and when you give them a broader palate to start off with, they'll eat all their fruits and vegetables. When people say, how do you get your children to eat their fruits and vegetables? I'll tell you in a minute. I'll be right back after I play this commercial. I'm going to tell y'all the secret of how I got them to eat all their fruits and vegetables up until this very day.
Jamaica woman, I'm a strong Jamaica woman.
I don't know. That one didn't play really well. But how I got them to eat their fruits and vegetables is just early on, you expose them to different flavors. Like because this formula is, as we see, over 50% sugar, it trains the palate to be inclined towards sweets, right? And from a very young age. Now, the breast milk is naturally sweet. 53% artificial sugars, I don't know about that. But there's a natural, depending on what the mother eats, there's a natural inclination for a certain, even because the breast milk manufactures in different ways. Sometimes you get more fat, sometimes you get more water. It goes based on what the child needs. It's not like all in there. It depends on where they're feeding, what type of milk. Is it the high milk? It depends on what she's eating. All of those things go into how the breast milk comes. But once they're past that point, looking at when they start to eat solid foods, don't just introduce them to sweet. Because now when it comes time to eat the vegetables or other things of different textures, they may not be inclined to do so. So ever since they were little, when they started eating and I introduced them to food, I introduced them to different types of food. And with the exception of a few foods based on the texture, because some people are texture people. I don't force them because I know that for the most part they eat their fruits and vegetables and their whole grains. But some textures, one child will be like, I just really can't do that texture, and that's just what it is, But a lot of parents, I even have nieces and nephews, the way they feed the child, I'm just like, and then you wonder why the child's a picky eater or why the child won't eat or whatever the case is, because of how you introduce them to food in the beginning. That's just my thoughts based on my experience, but somebody may have other experience. What's going on, Sarai? Sarai says the babies that really suffer are the ones whose little systems cannot process natural mother's milk. They need some type of formula. There are those type of babies who cannot process the milk, but the formula, like I'm saying, I don't know if you just came, but the steering people away, there are formulas or alternatives that the children can, or the little babies can have access to. But these news reports that I just read are trying to dissuade parents from even exploring other formulas, right? That they don't sanction. And that's the part that I'm like, I don't wholly agree with, because you're trying to tell me that nature is not capable of supplying that which nature needs to sustain itself. Like, that part right there, it's crazy to me. I breastfed all of mine. We just recently read, I find out a lot about how food does affect the mentality. Food does affect the mentality. For those who just joined us, welcome to the discussion. If you missed, I read 2 articles to just show that there's a big food shortage. There's a lot of things going on with parents. Not food shortage, formula shortage. And, just to be honest, that a lot of mothers are being dissuaded. There's even a breastfeeding argument going on. So it's not like that some of these mothers are not being dissuaded from breastfeeding, which now finds you in this precarious situation. Hold on, I think I came across something earlier. Oh, the mother can't breastfeed here, or she can't, you should go there. And there's this whole argument around breastfeeding that is making it uncomfortable for some mothers to say, oh, you know what, forget it, I'll just give the child formula. Hold on one second. And sometimes the child doesn't take the mother's milk because of what the mother is eating. Sometimes the child gets gassy and the child gets irritable, or the child gets constipated because whatever the mother's eating, if she's eating gassy foods, if she's eating broccoli or she's eating whatever, and the child is irritated because of that, and the mother's not connecting what she's eating to why the child is not taking the milk, some of that is education. and they have a lot of people, lactation consultants and different things that can educate the mother. The breastfeeding journey for me wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to breastfeed and that's what it is. My first daughter wouldn't even take the breast because her mouth was so small that I was committed. You know, I had people around me telling me like, oh, the child is going to be hungry and you should do this. And, you know, people fear mongering. And I'm like, yo, bro, here's how it's going to go. I guess this is why I'm a little passionate about this, is that I'm like, yo, here's how it's going to go. And I was a brand new mother. I said, she and I are going to learn how to do this thing. Oh, the baby is going to blah, blah, blah. And you should give it gripe water and da, da, da. I'm saying we are going to learn how to do this thing. She's going to be 15 years old in October. My point is that some people, because of their own experiences or because of their own indifferences or because of their own whatever, they're going to try to dissuade you against doing something that it's something. When you breastfeed, you need support to a certain degree. People around you need to support what it is that you're doing. So for instance, in this 90-day part, when the guy came from Cameroon and he was trying to dissuade her from breastfeeding, she had the support of her father, she had the support of her mother, she had a community of support around her where they were like, yo, leave her alone and let her feed the child. Because you'll have people like, why are you still feeding the child? The child is 2. Or the child is 1. Okay, the child's not ready to wean yet. Are they bothering you? You know, I know this because I've experienced it. I've experienced the culture. Because when I was first breastfeeding, I was here, and then I was overseas, and then I came back here, and I see the difference in the way people look at nourishing your child naturally. It's not received like, oh, you're breastfeeding. It's like, oh, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So, Sarai said my crew didn't start being picky about foods until each one reached the age. Over 30 years, they saw me eat or try. They had no problem eating bread, whatever because they're greedy. They're greedy, Sarai. They're greedy. If you eating fruits and vegetables and an array of food, they gonna want to eat it because their children are greedy. They'll come take the food right out your mouth, like pluck it out. Even to this moment, before I came to sit outside, they're like, "What you eating, mommy? Let me get some." You know what I mean? So if they see me just eat chips and soda all day, then chances are they're gonna want chips and soda all day. Judith said I had to stop eating my favorite chips because did not like them. They upset her stomach. Yeah. Yep. So some mothers be like, oh, I'm just gonna eat what I want to eat. Nah, it goes straight to the breast milk, and the child could be colicky, the child could be irritable, it could be giving them gas, it can be burning them. You don't know. You know, you guys just have to pay attention and not just be like, oh, it's the breast milk. They hate and then some mothers, understandably, we have attachment issues ourselves. And so some mothers are like, oh, the child doesn't want the breast. Really, the breastfeeding makes the mother uncomfortable, right? It's irritable. So that makes them irritating. And some mothers just want the child off of them. So they're like, get off me, like, you know. And so they may dissuade the child based on the personality of that mother, like, oh, again. And eventually the child will be like, you know what, I feel your vibes. It's okay. Keep your little saggy breast. Not mess with you. You know what I mean? It's so many things that could happen. Like when I had the twins, 2 people breastfeeding at the same time was too much. It was too much. But when the brother sees the sister breastfeeding, because they're twins, then everybody wants milk at the same time. So there's so many situations, or the mother could be stressed. If she's stressed, her breast milk is going to dry up. If she don't drink enough water, her breast milk is going to dry up. If she don't eat the proper foods, her breast milk is going to dry up, right? If she's fearful that the baby, whatever the case may be, if she doesn't let the baby nurse long enough, the baby every minute is going to come back for more and more and more. Why? Because the baby's not satiated. You know, there's so much stuff around it that I think education and encouraging these young mothers to say, hey, try the natural method and see how it works, then this panic wouldn't be as much as a panic. I know that there's children who end up in foster care. I know that there's children, a percentage of children who are not in the home of the person who gave birth to them. But for those who are, there's definitely other avenues that could be explored besides driving to south of the border, which I saw this morning, to go get breast milk. I'm just saying. I have to say this conversation is a nice break as I'm waiting for the work queue to get some more work put in. Yeah, it's a nice little, reprieve, even from the, all of this man, woman. Sir, excuse me, sir. Where are you going, sir?
I only did 15 fast because 5 of them I can't remember.
Sir, well, you need to go and complete the 5 more facts. No, don't come out here yet, please. Return to the location. See, one of them, and there's so much more. Like I said, that breastfeed does. Feeding the child is just feeding the child, right? And some people, which agitates me and irks me to no end. I'm sorry if you have done this. I'm just saying, this is my thought. Propping the bottle up on a pillow and sticking it in the 2 months old, 1 month old, 6 month old. Well, 6 months they can hold their own bottle, but propping the child up on the pillow and sticking it in their mouth is not bonding. Some of the stuff that I've seen people do, that child could choke, because parents is busy or they don't have any time, and there's all this other stuff that goes into feeding and how people feel connected with one another. It starts in childhood. It starts at that very intimate space of actually feeding that soul, and that soul trusting that, sometimes when you're feeding them, they want to look at you. Sometimes they want to grab your finger. Sometimes you want to reassure them that I got you. Sometimes they want to burp, but you don't left, so they crying, and you got an attitude because I just fed you, but you're crying, but you don't realize they got a burp. All kind of stuff happens during the feeding process that creates a solid bond, and it goes way beyond formula and or breast milk. With that said, we're coming to the 1 o'clock hour. I want to share this real quick because, as you can see, this is one of my passionate topics. Let me see if I can share. Let me know your thoughts, and then I'm going to go ahead and wind down here. Every time I get on a new thing, I don't know. Oh, here. More propaganda. That when that baby first, there's another thing that for the new mothers out there, the people who will be new mothers, that sometimes people don't tell you, is when you first have a baby, the baby's healthy, provided. That first day, that second day, the baby has a fat reserve. You can look it up. I had to look it up because otherwise people will convince you that you were crazy. The baby has a fat reserve. So say your baby's born 7 pounds, 1 ounce. Come on, thing. Right? And then they say, oh my goodness, the baby is losing weight. Come on, where? Hold on, peoples. The baby's losing weight when they come back and weigh it, especially if you're in the hospital. The baby naturally, as we know, or some of us may not. Come on, thing. I'm trying to share this thing here. Here it goes. The baby naturally loses a few pounds, but they use this time to scare the mother. They go, oh, the baby's losing weight. Oh, this is happening, that is happening. But the reality is that the baby has a fat reserve because naturally, and they'll be like, oh, your milk is not coming in. This is when they slip the formula on you. This is when, if you're in the hospital, boom, they slip the formula in you and tell you that you're not making enough milk, this, that, and the third, and you got to give the baby formula. The truth is, the milk doesn't come in, as we know, till about the 3rd day. And the first 2 days, between 48 and 72 hours, the milk supply starts to come in. Those first 2 days, the colostrum, or that tiny bit of gold, yellow gold they call it, that coats the baby's intestinal tract, that helps it transition from how it was consuming nutrients in the womb to how it's now going to consume nutrients in the this other side, this air breathing world. It's what prepares the baby to begin to receive and be nourished. This is how we see the baby pass out the black colostrum, not colostrum, meconium. The baby passes out the meconium, the colostrum. The child is learning to suck, and upon them sucking, is starting to have your body to release the milk. But they don't tell you that. For the most part, unless you have a lactation consultant or a natural, they're going to tell you the baby is hungry. You got to give the baby formula. So when you first introduce the baby to formula and their digestional tract did not have an opportunity to transition, because remember how they were eating through the nutrients that's absorbed through their umbilical cord. Now it's switching over for them to eat to get their nutrients in another way, and the colostrum that you have, that the mother is supposed to provide for the child, that first set that's in the first 2 days, they tell you, no, the baby's hungry. The baby's not hungry. The baby is transitioning over. The system is transitioning over to be able to take now the milk that you're giving it. And it's a setup. So now once you start, give him a little this and give him a little that, here we go into this dark web of all things wild and crazy. For those who've just joined us, welcome to the conversation. I'm actually winding down. Sarai says, my daughter had to pump milk to put in the bottle for my grandson because he outright refused to suckle. I had to watch and comfort her because of right. I feel her. I was there. It makes you feel all manner of things. Because remember, the mother's also going through post-traumatic stress if she's going through that, or postpartum, right? Believe it or not, people like having a baby is wonderful. Yes, it is also a traumatic experience. It's trauma. You're experiencing pain. That's trauma. So a lot of people don't understand the bond between the mother and the child. I'm here to say, and this is my theory, so y'all don't got to run with it. There's a trauma bond there because she experienced pain and distress oftentimes to bring forth this child, to birth this child into this realm. And therefore, there's a trauma bond. Oftentimes, what does the mother say? You know how long me labor with you? You know how much pain you caused me? That's reminding the child of that soul that I endured. You know how long, how much pain, my back, my this, my that. That's the trauma to the body, to the system that the mother experienced for this soul. So the people often wonder why the child is so connected to the mother in a certain degree, because these two experience a trauma bond together. And we call it love, a mother's love, but don't make no mistake about it, there's trauma in there. So when the mother, there's something that is not functioning and the child is refusing, or even the child doesn't know how, there's some tools for that, like the nipple cover and the practicing and the showing the child, but sometimes the child doesn't get it right away, and it's depressing. This is why I say you need a support team around you, right? Not people who just say, just give the baby some formula, it'll be all right. These type of people who are going to dissuade you from doing what's in your heart to do. But because you don't have any support, and maybe you're not strong enough, or maybe I was just like, y'all could just go ahead and have a seat, because guess what? It's going to be what it is. So, I'm a little bit of over the top, but when I'm committed to something, like I said, it is what it is. I've had to pump, like when one of the twins, when she was first born, she wasn't taking quickly to the breast, so I had to pump the milk and give it to her. So I definitely understand all aspects of any difficulty that may arise. You know what I mean? Swollen, chapped breast, everything, the pain, the discomfort, all of that. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying that we could continue to educate ourselves and make the decisions for ourselves, and not be scared into making decisions that are counterproductive and intuitive for the mother and the child. And the child's drinking milk is supposed to help the mother womb go back in place. That's another thing that they don't say. The suckling, especially when the child is just born. I said I was going to wrap it up, but I'm going to wrap it up. When the child is first born and the child is on the breast, you start to feel the uterus contract. And that uterus contracting is helping the uterus that was once a small little uterus that expanded to this big shape to hold this soul, now goes back to its original shape by the help of the child. So the very thing that expanded the uterus is also helping to put it back in alignment. This is why after you go back after 4 and 6 months, and they'll say, okay, your uterus is back. But what's happening is that a lot of mothers who skip that process don't give their uterus an opportunity to return back to where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So there's a whole lot of stuff connected with, and I know there are some medical reasons, but for the most part, a lot of the people who's walking around, it's not a medical reason. It's just whatever society has told us, whatever we have concocted in our minds, whatever it is we've come up with, we'd rather not, because it's easier just to go get some food. But you know what I've seen? I said, I'm gonna go. I even seen lately, back in the day, they used to warm the water up. I've seen people giving children formula now, not even warming it up. Straight water out the bottle. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, I am done. I'm done. Water out the bottle. Just a regular bottle of water. No warm, no heat, no nothing. Just cold. I'm like, what in the... What? Let me do a commercial break on that one, and then I'm gonna wind down. I don't know. Let me know if these commercials are playing on your end because I don't hear spit on my end. Anyway, yeah, I'm serious, Queen T. That's a fact. I'm just like, I'm done. Um, Breastfeeding is medically healthy for the mother, and yeah, it helps her to lose weight. It helps the uterus to go back. It helps the body's hormones to rebalance. It helps the baby to connect. It helps with stability, with everything. You know, if we value it, it'll do everything that it was designed to do. So with that said, I want to thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been a nice little conversation. Like Sarai said, a nice little break from the norm that, sometimes you get caught in this rut of looking at things from other people's perspective and not really speaking to the issues that are affecting people right now today. So yeah, if you can support somebody, a niece, a nephew, a mother, a daughter, a sister, if you could support them in their journey, do so. Because trust me, your kind words, bring her some tea. And another thing, a woman can't drink the coffee, and a lot of women are not drinking the tea that they need to. Fenugreek is another thing that helps with milk production. Make sure you have enough liquids. Make sure that you're not stressed. Make sure you get enough sleep. All type of things like this is what's going to help the milk to continue to flow. Make sure you eat enough food. But sometimes the women don't eat, and then if you don't eat, then there's no milk. You know what I mean? So with that said, thank everybody for tuning in. I'm about to go handle some business. Yeah, using tap water with all the fluoride and the chlorine I'm like, man, look. And then you're gonna talk about, but don't try nothing natural at home. Like, I'm sorry, did you just put 53% corn syrup in this baby's formula? Imagine somebody, you go to the lab. I said I was gonna go, but this is a topic that be having me. Imagine you gonna go to the lab and look through that little glass window and see a dude in there, right, with a little bonnet on, the medical bonnet, and some gloves and a little vest on, right? And homie in there measuring half the percentage of the formula in straight up syrup. You'll be like, whoa, what are you doing? Who you about to give that to? You remember like when they was making the Kool-Aid in House Party? I gotta get that scene. When you making the Kool-Aid in House Party and the person just kept pouring the syrup in there. Y'all remember that scene? I'm a little dated. That's the last time I used to watch a lot of movies. I'm gonna see that scene too. I'm gonna get it as one of my little memes. Anyway, with that said, thank everybody for tuning in. We'll talk again later. I'll come back with a full thing on, what's the name of the thing? 90 Day Fiance, because I got a few things to say. But for right now, I gotta go. So everybody have a blessed day.